Hello, I'm going to episode number 451, I believe, of the TEW 8-Way Challenge Run. This is going to be SmackDown for week 4 of November 2023, and yeah, we are here, the first show post-Survivor Series, and we've got a lot of explaining to do tonight. You know, if you saw the pay-per-view, you saw it went down. A lot of interesting stuff. New World Heavyweight Champion, his name, LA Knight, yeah. Actually technically on the A show now as well, because Team SmackDown did win, thanks to a surprise appearance from Brock Lesnar, of all people. Come to the aid of Team SmackDown. And also, you know, that ending to the show and that ending to the War Games match, which, you know, that whole shtick is going to open up the show, because there's a lot of explaining that needs to be done, both on my end, out of kayfabe, and in kayfabe. So without any more further ado, let's jump straight into tonight's show. Okay, so this is just another 15 to 20 minute segment to open up SmackDown. You know, we're getting a lot of these recently. And it says that, like, 4 people in this segment don't have the microphone skills to be talking for the length of time they are. But the segment still gets a 100, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Queendom, come out. Io, Utami, Piper, Tegan, and Cammy, you know, victorious in War Games. Cammy says, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Friday Night SmackDown, and welcome to what remains Queendom's show." Now, you know, last week, I haven't really had a chance to come out here and talk to you since last week, since, you know, what went down in that main event when little old Florence thought she could try and sneak one past the genius of the sky, the woman to my right, the women's world champion. And she came up short, because we have been making deals in the sidelines. You see, you know, Queendom may have a lot of enemies right now, but we can call upon help when required. So, Julia, thanks for the help, babe. The money's in the mailbox. But now, I know what you're thinking. It's time to address the elephant in the room. I told you all I stood firm on my feet this last Saturday night and told you that there be no new members of Queendom being added after Julia's interception last week. And I meant it at the time. Because Julia, she's not a member of Queendom. She's merely an associate that helped us for War Games. But little did I know, the other team, they had a wolf in sheep's clothing, you know. There was somebody on that team that couldn't quite coexist, and we all thought it was going to be that egomaniac Bianca Belair. But no, ladies and gentlemen, the Queendom is stronger than ever. You see, we stand here, a leader, an heir, a muscle, whatever Tegan is. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Queendom's expansion and rule over Friday Night SmackDown shall continue. Because please rise, put your hands together, and give a large royal welcome to Queendom's new deputy.
Bow down to the queens.
Out comes Dakota Kai. And she carries a Queendom flag with her. And she places the Queendom flag down the corner. She takes a mic, she stands next to Cammy and Io. She goes, "Well, thank you so much for that warm reception, Cammy. You know, I know a lot of people have been wondering, you know, Dakota, why did you, after all these months of trying to tear Queendom down, you promised us you were going to be the one to tear Queendom down." And I believed myself. But then I realized I failed. I was a failure. You hitched on a failure. Because there's no way one person, one little old me, could take down an entire Queendom. I see what happened to Utami. And Utami, you know, she lost to Candice. She tried to become women's champion, and that ruined her. Until Cammy and Io and Queendom lifted her up to reach those heights I see Piper Niven. She was toiling in obscurity before Queendom EO gave her a phone call and say, hey, do you want to get the band back together? I still see Tegan floundering by herself, but some things even Queendom can't manage. But if I needed that guidance to get myself back on track, I needed to know that if you can't beat them, join them. Because EO's rule can't be stopped by one person. And even at Survivor Series when 5 women came together to try and stop Queendom, even that wasn't enough. Now I appreciate the honor of, being the deputy here in Queendom. I'm not stepping on anybody's toes by getting such a spot. Now, but I'm here to conduct business on behalf of my queen, the Women's World Champion, Io Sky. Now, Io, you've been a busy girl over these last couple of weeks. It's time for me to take some of that off your plate, There's a lot of problems that need dealing with that you can't quite frankly be dealing with. And Cammy goes, well, so there you have it. Dakota Kai, the new deputy of Queendom. Do we have any questions from the group? And Tegan, she puts her hand up. She goes, yes, Tegan. She goes, what are we doing here? You can't trust her. She spent the last 3 months trying to tear us down, and you're just going to let her walk in here. Not only walk in here, but walk into a spot of power above even Utami. Second in command behind Io. A woman who was trying to put an end to Queendom not 2 months ago. You really think this is a good idea? And then Io goes to put a mic out to her mouth, and Dakota takes the mic and she goes, don't worry, Queen. No, don't worry, Queen. I got this. You see, as the deputy of Queendom, there's a lot of issues in this group that need to be sorted. Now, because of, Io being busy last week with the Women's Championship match and at War Games, she hasn't really had the time to react to what we all saw last week in that opening match on SmackDown, and that's you, Tegan, failing in your goal to capture Queendom the Women's Tag Team Championships. What do you guys say about that? And Tegan sort of does go quiet. And Dakota goes, yeah, that's what I thought, Maybe you should learn your place, and your place is not to chat back to me or the Queen over here, but to sit back and be, the 4th wheel, now 5th wheel of the group, okay? Because you're just here to pad out the numbers, okay? Nobody would even really miss you if you went missing. And Tegan's like, you gonna let her talk to me like that? And Cammy goes, are you gonna stop pulling your weight? And she's like, what the fuck? And then goes, anyway, so I say with Piper and Tegan failing to capture the Women's Tag Team Championships, maybe another pair from Queendom should have a go. Say myself and the Women's World Champion, Io Sky. And Utami sort of chimes in, is like, she starts speaking in Japanese. And then Dakota goes to Cammy, she goes, you got to get that one for me. She says, well, the heir apparent of Queendom here, raises a lot of concerns. And you coming in here and acting as the deputy this soon as, I guess, gotten to the Joshi prodigy, the heir apparent Utami Hashishita. Why should you team up with the Queen, the Joshi Judas, the Women's World Champion, instead of her? And Tia goes, why? Why, because Queendom would have lost inside that steel cage if it wasn't for me, because Utami wasn't pulling her weight either. Now there's a real serious shake-up that needs to come to this group, and I'm the one who's going to deliver it. Okay, you may not want to listen to Io. Maybe, maybe there's a translation error on your behalf. But this isn't just Io's rule now. This is my rule too. We rule Queendom, and we rule SmackDown. Out comes Candice LeRae. Candice comes out and she's like pissed off, and she tries to just get in the ring. And Dakota Kai, like when Candice gets in, sort of just like she looks away, like just looks down at the ground, like looking at her feet or whatever, like avoiding eye contact with Candice. And then Piper, like, goes up to her. And then she goes, like, no, let her in. And she goes, Dakota, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just... Why? I thought there was no woman on this show that hated Queendom as much as you hated Queendom. Why are you doing this? Why did you join? We could have stopped them together, but instead, you sold out. And Dakota sort of just walks up to Candice, doesn't say anything. And she goes, well, you got nothing to say to me? And Dakota goes, Candice, I'm sorry. It was the only way. And then the rest of Queendom go to, like, circle Candice, and then Asuka runs out to try and even the odds, and Asuka and Candice start fighting off the rest of Queendom. The rest of Queendom being Josh, Utami, Piper, and Tegan. Because Io doesn't want to get involved in the fight, and neither does Dakota. And then even Bianca Belair also runs out. And she starts, like, whipping the rest of Queendom as well, but that's when Dakota and Io do jump in. And, probably Tegan and Piper get shoved to the outside, and then it's Utami, Io, and Dakota who floor or brawl with the other three. Adam Pearce comes out and he goes, enough of this, okay? I see War Games wasn't enough to settle the score here. So tonight, we're going to have ourselves a 6-woman tag team main event. It's going to be Asuka, Bianca Belair, and Candice LeRae taking on Io Sky, Utami Hayashishita, and Dakota Kai of Queendom. It is official, and it's happening right here tonight. So yeah, there's a big 6-woman tag main event. After a hot opener, Dakota Kai, Io, and Utami against Candice, Asuka, and Bianca. They got our opening match, which gets an 84 rating. And this match is... this is a risky angle, but, it's the best way to convey what I want to do here. Pistolero wins by referee stoppage in 9 minutes 40. So the finish is... Pistolero has, I can't remember what he calls it, but he has, a move where the opponent's up against the ropes, and then he'll do, a springboard, grab them for a German suplex or whatever, and then roll through and hit a German. We do that, but David Martin, as he takes the hit, he lands on his head from the German suplex. This is planned. We don't throw up any X's, as it's planned. But that is the finish of the match. David Martin gets knocked loopy, basically. 71 for David and 90 for Pistolero. After the match, the entire French Connection come in to check on David. Pistolero, he's looking remorseful for what he's just done. Gramel, Lee Lindsay, and Cynthia Crespo, when they're trying to calm him down and saying it's not your fault. Even Idris and Malik and VLA, shit happens. Concussions are a part of the game. It's something that we all have to deal with. And then they end up helping David Martin. All of them help David Martin to the back, so he can get some medical attention. Keith Lee, he flew all the way out to Survivor Series, but he wasn't used. He went, I was on hand, I was on hand to, be an extra at Survivor Series. If Team SmackDown needed anybody, I was there to take Mr. Pierce's phone calls, but I guess outside of wrestling, I've got no other qualifications, I'm just a lonely, big motherfucker, as Rick Ross would say. And then Nick Aldis sort of walks past and he spots him. He goes, Keith, what you doing here? And he goes, I came here, to be an extra hand, in case you needed me for Team SmackDown tonight. He goes, I thought you got fired from SmackDown. Keith goes, I did. But, I've been looking for work since, and it keeps leading me back to the arena. And Aldis goes, you know what, Keith, I've always been a fan of yours. So, how about you come Friday night, and you be security for SmackDown? He goes, security, I can do that easily. So yeah, Nick Aldis has hired Keith Lee. His job this week is to be security for SmackDown. Let's hope he gets an easy night. 69 rated match. I feel like Tiffany Stratton has been jobbing a lot, so she's getting a win here. She beats Indy Hartwell 66. 68 for Indy, 59 for Tiffany, 69 for the match. And yeah, 7 minutes 46, Tiffany wins. After that, she does grab a mic and she gets microphone time, and she goes, "Look, you stupid..." Oh my god, it's an 88? Holy shit. "You stupid witches, okay? I don't know what you want with me, or Mariah, or my beautiful trophy for being the Women's Division MVP, but I need you to leave us alone, or you're gonna wish you never mess with the center of the universe." Lights go off, of course. Tiffany gets scared as soon as the lights go off. On the Titantron, the witches are there, and she goes, "Oh, Tiffy, it's nothing personal, We just want something nice and shiny. And now you entered our house, so things are gonna get twisted." And they laugh, and smoke is around the ring or whatever. Tiffany runs away, scared. Whatever, spooky witch stuff. We then head back to the doctor's room. All of the people from the opening segment are in there, plus Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. And David Martani's still not coming to. He went, "You must have hit him pretty hard tonight." And then Via walks up and goes, "Monsieur Pearce," he goes, "don't hold this against Pistolero. He didn't mean to do that." And Pistolero's like, "No. And then finally David Martin does come to. And he's like, "Where the hell am I?" And then Adri's like, "Oh, Monsieur Martin, you're awake." And then he looks around and he goes, "Excuse me? Can you speak English, please?" And they're like, "Monsieur Martin?" And he goes, What are you talking about?" And then Via goes, David, you're awake." And he's like, "Who the hell is David?" "I'm David." And everyone sort of looks at him all confused. Weird. David Martin seems to, hit his head a bit too hard tonight. 90. Yep, that's a Daniel Bryan match if I've ever seen one. Daniel Bryan versus Nathan Frazer. It's the inverse of the Seth Rollins versus Miles Bourne match we did recently. And it is Daniel Bryan who picks up the win. He defeats Frazer 15-27 with a running knee. 76 for Nathan Frazer and a 95 for Daniel Bryan. And yeah, big win for Bryan. He missed Survivor Series because I didn't want to pin him, because I knew the sole survivors on Team SmackDown were going to be Brock and Ilya. So yeah, that's why he wasn't on the pay-per-view. But after the match, Seth Rollins does come out, both to aid Nathan Frazer and also to get in the face of Bryan, because Bryan kicked him in the dick last week and set him up to be attacked by Solo. And he goes to fight Daniel Bryan. Seth Rollins, Nathan Frazer fights Miles Braun. We get a 2-on-2 fight. And that's when Solo does run in. He jumps Seth Rollins from behind. It's then 3-on-2. Bryan, Braun, and Solo jumping Seth Rollins and Nathan Frazer. When out storms Pete Dunne. We haven't seen him since, I think, the first week of November when he lost the US title to Solo. He rushes out when he takes the fight to Solo Sikoa. He starts throwing forearms at Solo. Probably actually does rock him with one to send him to the outside. And then Seth Rollins gets to his feet. And Pete Dunne also clocks Seth Rollins with a forearm. Because, fuck you too. And then Bryan's sitting there laughing. He goes, Pete. Great, lovely to see you. And Bryan goes to dap him up and invite him into whatever his group is, when Daniel Bryan also gets forearmed in the face. So Pete Dunne, he's back with a vengeance, and he's taking no prisoners. He's got no allegiances in this war. He just wants that US title back. But a lot of moving parts here. We then come back to the Queendom locker room. Dakota Kai's getting her shit all set up. She goes, oh yes, this is a lovely place for the deputy to sit. Okay, where's Tegan sitting? Over there, who cares? Banish her. Anyway, so, tonight, it's going to be me and my queen Io and Utami the Air taking on those three, no-gooders. So what's the strategy? And Tegan's like, you tell me, Miss Deputy. She goes, why do you think you're mouthing off to me, Tegan? Okay, just because I've already conducted more respect in this group than you have since you've been here from the start, doesn't mean you can start, giving me lip, okay? And Tegan, imagine that at that point, just walks out of the room. And Piper, she's like, sorry about that. And she goes to follow Tegan out. And they'll be cut from there to Tegan and Piper in the locker room. And she's like, hey, what's up? And she's like, what do you mean, what's up? This isn't right. Okay? Dakota, we shouldn't have trusted her, okay? She proved why we shouldn't have trusted her because she kicked her own best friend's head off in the cage, okay? And trust me, I know all about that because she did that exact thing to me. And now she's gonna walk in here and she's gonna, take deputy rules? Why is she even around? And the Piper's like, okay, well, I know you've got your history and all that, and I can't really erase any of that, but Io welcomed her in, Io's the queen here, she calls the shots. We owe our careers in respect to Io Sky, We wouldn't even have come close to being tag team champs if it wasn't for her. We wouldn't even have come close to becoming tag team champs without Io. And yet here we are, winning the main event of Survivor Series. She goes, something's not right here, Piper. I told everyone not to trust Dakota. She was trying to tear the group down a week ago. And now she's here. We're supposed to just accept it. And Piper goes, like I said, if anything goes wrong, I can take care of her, but think about where would we be without Io and without her guidance? I'm not saying that you and her have got to get along, but you've at least got to be able to work together. Because we're under the same rule now. And Tegan just goes, yeah. But I'm already feeling like I've been replaced. Piper goes, look at me, you're my best friend. Okay? I'd never let you get replaced. Okay? She's like, yeah. Thanks for that, Piper. I really needed that. Okay, it's like, okay, ready to go back in? And she's like, yeah. Sure, I guess I'll try and make it work. And then Piper and Tegan go back in. Montez Ford, the former World Heavyweight Champion, he's pissed. He's like, so, Oro, okay, well, why did you not get out of that shark cage? Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Montez Ford, they locked the shark cage up. I couldn't help you. He's like, Jakara, where was your ass? And she goes, don't you look at me, okay? This is your fault. It was your championship. If you wanted to keep that championship, you should learn how to beat LA Knight. He goes, I can't beat LA Knight. You see, I can. Just give me one more shot. And he goes, Mr. Ford, I don't think you can get another shot. It was do or die. That was your last match with LA Knight. He goes, this is some bullcrap. Okay? All of this stinks. I wish I'd never have come over to SmackDown. Tell Mello he can trade himself back over here, but he would never do that because then he'd have to face the consequence of what he did, and that's attack Trick Williams. Okay? And then I've got idiots like Candice LeRae, who's got to team up once again with my wife who hates her fucking guts. Telling me that I'm a paper champion. I'm not scared of anyone. And Dexter Lumis appears behind Montez Ford. And Tez just turns around and he goes, and what are you staring at? And Dexter just stands there straight faced and he goes, you're going to keep looking at me like that? I'll smack your taste out of your mouth tonight. Huh? See you out there against the former World Heavyweight Champion. Dexter Lumis, Montez Ford tonight. 67 raid match. Chase U, they're still trying to come through. But they've got a match with Nightlight here. And Shantae Washington pins Haley Poole with a fisherman suplex because there's some miscommunication between the Chase U girls. Shantae gets a 55, a 72 for Naomi, a 46 for Thea, and a 49 for Haley. Yeah, nice. But not so nice for Chase U, who, you know, there seems to be a bit of a struggle going on in the ranks here. Then go from that. We then see the commentators talking about last week, you know, Florence losing her cash-in, and then War Games. And then we get one of those videos, like they do them from time to time, like where Florence is at home, like via Zoom or whatever, and she's like calling in. And he goes, yes, it's Florence. Okay, let's get her up on the screen. And he goes, I should be sitting here, Cole, as the women's world champion, as a winner inside War Games. You know, just 2 weeks ago, I was on top of the world. Nobody could stop me because I was on course to becoming the world champion. I was the brightest star here in WWE. But in just 1 week, I've gone from the top of the world right down to the bottom. I've hit the lowest point in my career. I lose my Money in the Bank cash-in. I lose my War Games match. And not only do I lose my War Games match, but in that match I hurt my shoulder. And doctors are telling me month and a half out of action. But let this be known. EO, you think you're safe? You think what, because I couldn't beat you with my cash-in, that I can't beat you? You're not going to have anyone to call next time I come back and I get my hands on you, because I don't care if it's Piper, if it's Tegan, if it's Utami, or if it's Dakota Kai, or if it's Julia. I'll go for whoever I have to get my revenge. We then see the two Chase U girls, they're arguing backstage. And Haley goes, maybe if you'd have shown up to class every single day, instead of, you know, skiving off what to impress who? Nobody, okay? Because nobody thinks you're cool here, because, you know, showing up and getting classwork done for Chase U, that's what makes people cool. And she goes, oh, spare me, okay? You're just a goody two-shoes, just everything Mr. Chase tells you to do, even though Mr. Chase proven himself to be a terrible leader recently. And then Keith Lee goes, girls, ladies, that is enough of the squabbling. And they both look at like, Keith Lee? He goes, yes, indubitably it is I, Sir Keith Lee, here tonight, on security duty on behalf of the new co-general manager of SmackDown, Mr. Nicholas Aldis. Now, if you want to have this petty squabble between you, then I'm afraid Mr. Chase will have to banish both of thee to detention once again. Or, since this is the World Wrestling Federation, well, the company formerly known as the World Wrestling Federation, now known as World Wrestling Entertainment, we can settle this the only way we know how, than with a contest of professional wrestling in the squared circle 7 days from tonight on SmackDown. And then Nick Aldis does walk in, and he's like, good job, Keith. You know, I hired you as a security, and you did a good job at that, but you've actually got some brains up there. You know, use me as a reference next time you're looking for work, Keith. He goes, oh, thank you so much. It's my honor, Mr. Nicholas Aldis. You know, I'm just doing my job. But, he goes, your match, you know, these two do need to settle their differences, and we need to see who's right in this Chase University war. So, if you two want to squabble at each other, how about it next week? You two can face off and blow off some steam. How's that for Chase University-sized ass-whooping? So yeah, Keith Lee stepping in like the big teacher. You know, the one you see on your lunch break who steps in and breaks up fights. That's what Keith Lee was here tonight. And he impressed in that role. So, you know, maybe he's just proven the point that, you know, stern leadership is what's needed in Chase U. LA Knight comes to the ring. And he stands over his title, the crowd running, LA Knight, LA Knight, LA Knight. He goes, let me talk to you. Massive pop. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, it has been 6 long months since LA Knight stood in this ring and he told every single one of you he was going to become World Heavyweight Champion. LA Knight, I went on to face King of the Ring, some of the very best across both Raw and SmackDown. I came out on top on that night. I went to SummerSlam, and I had Carmelo Hayes beat 1, 2, 3 in the ring until Montez Ford took that away. But did I let that slide? Nah, because I made it my vow to take that championship off of Montez Ford, and now here I stand, coming out of Survivor Series, your new World Heavyweight Champion, because whose championship is this? It's LA Knight's championship. Yeah. Out comes Swerve, and he gets in the face of LA Knight and he laughs. He goes, LA Knight, I was hoping I was going to get to come in here and go face to face with you. And I'm so glad it's under these circumstances. Because I've long had my eyes on that prize. That prize, to me, is the greatest prize here in WWE, greater than the WWE Championship, greater than the ECW Championship. And I see it round your waist. That pleases me, LA Knight. It does, because you're a nice, easy target. You remind me in a lot of ways like John Cena. John Cena would come out here and he'd run his mouth every single night. And look what I did to him. The greatest of all time, they say. Don't know if we're ever going to see him again. And whose fault is that? It ain't LA Knight's fault. No. It's Swerve's. And LA Knight, you want to walk into Swerve's house, wave your shiny new toy around here, and act like I ain't going to come out here and make a play for it? You must be out of your mind. So, LA, you haven't got a deal with Carmelo Hayes anymore. He's run off to Raw because he can't handle the consequences that maybe he attacked his boy Trick. You can't got a event against Montez Ford anymore. You and him are done. So I'm looking at you eye to eye, man to man right here. And I'm saying, if you want your next challenger, look no further than me. Out comes Ilya Dragunov. And he goes, Swerve, Swerve, Swerve now. Don't get it twisted. What you did last week to me was uncalled for. And I will be getting my receipt on you one day. But that day is not tonight, and that day will not be at Armageddon. Because before I get in the ring and make an example out of you, I have unfinished business with LA Knight. And I was like, oh, do ya? Because if I do recall back at Cyber Sunday, LA Knight, you refereed my match with Montez Ford, and in that match you missed a glaringly obvious call, which at the time I overlooked. But I knew there was a reason the Mad Dragon couldn't defeat Montez Ford for that World Heavyweight Championship, but it's not because of myself, LA Knight, it's because of you. And now, at Survivor Series, I've earned myself a shot to challenge for any championship I see fit. And LA Knight, I know exactly who and what and when I'm gonna make that match. So Swerve, you may have a victory over the Mad Dragon, but the Mad Dragon, if you were to go one-on-one once again, would defeat you. But now, you're not one of my concerns, because my only concern is taking this man to Armageddon and taking that World Heavyweight Championship. And Swerve's like, whoa, hold up, Ilya, I know you got your your free title match or winning a Survivor Series. You know, I should have had one too. But like you said, you know, I beat you. I beat LA Knight. So the way I see it is, if you think you're worthy of a World Heavyweight Championship match, you know, you gotta go through me. And I goes, whoa. LA Knight, I've been standing around here listening to you two yabber on because neither of you have got quite the cavorka as LA Knight. Now here's what we're gonna do. I'm the World Heavyweight Champion. What I say goes. And what I say is, Ilya Dragunov, you want a shot at my World Heavyweight Championship at Armageddon? And Swerve, you want a shot at my World Heavyweight Championship at Armageddon? Well, I say, why don't we call up old Adam Pearce, our new man, Mr. Aldis, wherever he may be, and get ourselves a triple threat match. Yeah. Yes, there we go. Big triple threat for the World Heavyweight Championship set for Armageddon, as LA Knight defends against both Swerve Scott and Ilya Dragunov. Should be a hoot. Then cut backstage. Speaking of Armageddon Championship matches, Caleb Braxton's with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It says later, and my guests at this time, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, boys, you know, for weeks, William Regal and the Creed brothers have been trying to send a message to you, and we now know that at Armageddon, you will defend those SmackDown Tag Team Championships against the Creed brothers. I'm telling you, we've been watching these Creeds for a while now since they came to SmackDown, you know, with William Regal's guidance. Having Regal in your corner, you know, that's an expert you can have there, you know. I couldn't think of many better minds to have by my side. But me and Kevin, we've fought off any and all comers in this tag division so far. And the Creeds, they're just another tag team. Well, they're genetic freaks, but they're just another tag team. And Kevin goes, well, Sammy and I, you know, our quest when we won these championships was not only to, you know, finally check off that one title that neither of us had ever won here in WWE, but to raise the entire SmackDown Tag Team division, and that's team by team. That started with teams like Aussie Open, and it's going to continue with the Creed brothers. Because, boys, win, lose, or draw, the team who takes this from us will be the team that's worth it. Let's see if you're worth it. 80 rated match. Montez Ford beats Dexter Lumis in 8 minutes 5 with a frog splash. 87 for Montez Ford, 57 for Dexter. And yeah, nice rebound win after losing the world title. He's celebrating the win, you know, and then after the match.
They wanna talk, well, what they talking about? I see them running their mouth, but they ain't talking.
Out comes Angelo Dawkins. I can't even remember the last time I used Angelo Dawkins on this show. And he goes, fam, you know, it's been a while, Tez. I know I was over on SmackDown, you were doing your thing over on Raw. You won Money in the Bank, I was so proud of you. The Golden Prophet, you called yourself, Montez, you and Bianca. And now you're over here on SmackDown, and now you're on my show. Fam, I see you to come out here, I see you just let you know that this ain't you. What's gotten into you? What's gone into Bianca? You know, you two used to be cool. Now I barely recognize you. You know, you ain't returning my calls. Tez, what's going on? Tez goes, I'm sorry, do we have an issue? Because no, we don't have an issue, Tez. You know, you're my brother. You'll always be my brother. But I don't like seeing you like this. And Tez goes, listen here, Dawkins. You know, we may have came up together and we've been brothers ever since, but I'm not going to change my ways just because you don't like the man I've become. Being like this got me Money in the Bank. Being like this got me a World Heavyweight Championship, Tez. Well, Dawkins. You know, back at the start of the year when you were Intercontinental Champion and I was nothing, I was your good little boy in the shadows, finally the way you liked it. 'Cause you didn't like me eclipsing you. And then, we get drafted apart in the draft. And lo and behold, guess who eclipses who, Dawkins? Huh? So I smell jealousy coming off your ass. And you're trying to, use me at my weakest to try and give yourself a little rub at my expense. Because it ain't that at all, I was taking a couple months off, getting myself back in shape. And I was ready to come and take SmackDown apart, but Tez, it's... I don't want to fight you. But if I have to get through to you, I'm more than willing to do that. Tez goes, oh, you're more than willing to fight me, okay? Of course you are, because I'm the star, and you're not. Dawkins, I was doing just fine without you, and now you've shown your ass back up on this show. I'll still be fine without you. But hey, have a great night. And he sarcastically pats him on the back and walks up the ramp. We then cut back to Candice, Asuka, and Bianca in the same locker room, ready for tonight's main event. She goes, what the hell? First, my husband, my hot husband loses his World Heavyweight Championship, and now he's got to deal with Dawkins. Okay, I thought we were finished with Dawkins, We'd established that Dawkins was the loser and Tez was the star, okay? Ugh. So, I guess he's not the only one. I'm not the only one of us who's got to share a locker room and be with people that we don't like, huh? And then she's like, well, consider yourself lucky, Bianca, because our little truce ended at Survivor Series, and we may, teamed up well on that night, but like I said before then, I was willing to put all this aside for one night, but apparently we're teaming up again tonight. I don't like it any more than you do. And trust me, I've had one friend kick my head off. I've got a lot on my mind right now. From Dakota, to this weird letter, to whatever Johnny's getting up to on Raw. I don't have time for your stupid petulance tonight. Because, petulance is what you call it. I call it, okay, being a leader, okay? Because, take a look, Candice, you took leadership for War Games, and what happened? We lost, okay? So tonight, I lead. And she's like, no, tonight we are 3 equals. The way that we are on this roster, because we are all 3 equals. Every single one of us has won the Royal Rumble. Every single one of us has been Women's World Champion. We are 3 equals. You aren't shit. Girl, you're gonna keep talking to me like that? We ain't gonna make it out there, because I'll beat your ass in this locker room. Asuka sort of just gets in her face and slaps Bianca and goes, focus. Tonight, Queendom isn't ready for us. And she storms out. And Candice and Bianca sort of awfully look at each other and just shrug and just go, sure. 70 rating. That's actually alright for 2 teams who are not very over. But it is the Creeds again who pick up a win. This time with Aussie Open, Julius pins Carlin Rogers. 56 for Julius, 68 for Brutus, 66 for Carlin Rogers, and a 65 for Brad Sawyer. Yeah, little baby Undertaker, Brutus Creed, is still doing alright. A lot better than Julius. Next week, we have 2 matches announced for that show. The first being this tag team match. Seth Rollins will team with his protege, Nathan Frazer, in tag team action, when they will take on Daniel Bryan and his protege, Miles Bourne. And we saw the match announced earlier on tonight by, I guess, Keith Lee and Nick Aldis, when the 2 members of Chase U, Haley Paul and Thea Hale, Chase U's civil war comes to a head when they fight each other to, blow off some steam on next week's SmackDown. But in 2 weeks from Saturday is SmackDown's final pay-per-view of 2023. It is Armageddon, and we now know some matches for that show, including this for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. It will be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn teaming up to face the Creed brothers for those titles. And in triple threat action, the new World Heavyweight Champion LA Knight defends against both Swerve Scott and Ilya Dragunov. Fuck me! Okay, 98. I didn't expect this to be this good. I knew it was going to be good. I was betting like an 87, 88-ish. 98. 2 points from perfection this match gets. But it is the babyface team. Again, I call them the babyface team despite Bianca being on there because inherently they are still the babyface team. Asuka, Bianca Belair, and Candice LeRae defeat the Queendom trio of Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and Utami Hayashishita. Candice pins Utami with a Lion's Salt. 89 for Candice, 89 for Bianca, 94 for Asuka, 85 for Utami, 97 for Io, and an 80 for Dakota Kai. Now, we're getting a lot of comments, you know. Candice has been taking a lot of L's recently, and she just came back at Cyber Sunday and then took the pin in War Games. I understand that she needed the win. That's why she got the pin. That's why she specifically got the pin here tonight. But it had to be her that got pinned and turned on in that War Games match because Bianca was a heel. It wouldn't have been as effective on Bianca. Asuka is Asuka. Dakota's still kind of scared of Asuka, if you remember WrestleMania. Florence just got pinned for the briefcase. So, like, and Candice is the closest to Dakota, so that would make the turn the most impactful. So, yeah, she had to be the one to take the pin inside War Games, but she does rebound with a pin here tonight, pinning Utami in the 6-woman tag. But that doesn't settle it, because we continue the fight after the show, after the match. Specifically, Candice pinned Utami, and is jumped and attacked specifically by Io and not by Dakota. And then Asuka and Bianca run in, Dakota would fight Bianca, Utami and Asuka would fight, and we've got all 6 women just brawling. When out comes Nick Aldis, the co-general manager of SmackDown. He goes, right, that's enough. You know, Pierce, you know, you drove Pierce insane earlier on tonight, and that's why I'm here to step in and take on the jobs that he's not quite ready for. Tonight, this was supposed to all come to an end, but you refuse to let it come to an end. I see you all want to rip each other apart. Well, that suits me. If War Games wasn't enough, I know just what might be. Because this isn't about teams. You know, Candice and Bianca, I see the way you two are looking at each other as well. This is 6 individuals hungry to become Women's World Champion. And it just over 2 weeks at Armageddon, we're going to find out who the best in this entire division really is. Because Io, you will be putting your Women's World Championship on the line at Armageddon against Candice LeRae, Asuka, Bianca Belair, Utami Hayashishita, and Dakota Kai in the Armageddon Hell in a Cell. Woof. War Games wasn't enough, apparently. Armageddon, you know, specifically called the pay-per-view Armageddon because I knew this match was coming. I've been looking forward to building and announcing this match for months. It's going to be a fucking banger. But the final defense of the Women's World Championship of 2023 will take place in just over 2 weeks. When the gates of hell open up. 6 women enter, no one leaves the same. All those cliches. Io, Dakota, Utami, Bianca, Asuka, Candice. Hell in a Cell. Handle this change. Very good. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Finish the show. Gets a 96. Yes. SmackDown is... Wow. Again, like I say, I am still enjoying ECW and Raw as well. But SmackDown for me is the show. Yeah. Well, that's more, though, is what you thought of the show. More than this 96, more than what I think. But, so yeah, do let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you just on the other side here for Velocity, where I don't think anything too important is going to go down. Velocity kicks off with a 64. Brogan Finley is here. I wanted to see how he would do. So I put him in there with Drew Gulak, because Drew Gulak, you know, is he's the ring general of Velocity. So I knew he'd get the best out of him, and he does. The match gets a 64, Gulak gets an 8. Well, other than the god Kyle O'Reilly, but he's busy. Of course. But yeah, 7 minutes 33, Gulak wins for Gulak, 22 for Brogan, and an 80 for Drew Gulak. And yeah, I think he's got like 10 pops, so 22 is actually not that bad. But Drew Gulak does win here. You know, getting the younger talent their first real taste on Velocity. 82. Dirty Dom, he's now officially called Dirty Dom, defeats Cedric 16 minutes and 14 because Beatrice Vargas, who is, you know, a member of LA Extreme. Apparently they're an awkward pairing, which I guess kind of fits the gimmick of her, you know, Dominic Caller saying they're not actually together, but Dominic says they are, so he looks cool in front of his tough street friends. So I might actually leave that, despite now naturally that will ruin Dom's rating, so I will take her off. But that is just funny because, you know, it's intentionally awkward in kayfabe, but it's shoot awkward as well. So I guess I'll just remove her from that. 70 rating here. MSK, the trio of Wes Lee, Leslie Young, Kristen Allison, defeat 3 AAA guys. Fernando, Shembri, Adrian Quest, and Torito Negro, and Wesley pins Torito Negro. 48 for Torito, 52 for Adrian Quest, 37 for Fernando, 64 for Tristan, 60 for Leslie, and a 78 for Wesley. And then the main event gets an 80. Okay, that's pretty good. Mustafa Ali is the, you know, overachiever appearing on Velocity this week. He defeats RKJ 15 minutes and 10, reverse 450. 84 for Ali, 64 for RKJ. RKJ's really good. You know, both in-game and IRL. You know, he's somebody I have a bit of a bias towards because he's from my area. That's why he keeps getting all these spotlights. But he is quickly becoming, you know, a decent prospect here on Velocity. And main event is pretty good. Show overall does get a 79 though. But of course, that doesn't matter. It's Velocity at the end of the day. What matters more is what you thought of the show, mainly of SmackDown. And I'll see you next time for the first Raw of December, which will also be featuring Imperium defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against Titus World Records. See you then.